Part 100. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 991. Lin Yi nodded slightly when he heard this development trend. This is very good. The development momentum is good. If we continue like this, it is only a matter of time before we can save the entire void. The Soul Master slowly shook his head, but now the Hope Alliance has encountered a bottleneck. The first is the energy transmission device. Currently there are only 100 billion. Only these 100 billion world groups can truly be effectively defended. The hundreds of billions of other world groups can only rely on spiritual wave weapons to defend themselves. That creates those areas that are always at risk. A large number of troops are involved to suppress the strange vortex within the world group. A large number of spiritual wave weapons are limited to hundreds of billions of areas because they need to be charged, and cannot continue to expand. Now, someone has proposed that you disclose all the secrets of the entire Lingbo weapon system. Shared by all life in the void, the power that can eliminate the weird essence is not allowed to be mastered by one person. In the Hope Alliance, this voice is already quite loud. The President has tried his best to help you maintain it, but now the strength of the President alone cannot suppress the voices of countless powerful people in the entire alliance. I came here to inform you secretly, maybe someone will come to trouble you. Those who take action will not be ordinary strong men. When Lin Yi heard this, a cold light appeared in his eyes. Okay, I understand, thank you. The Soul Master nodded, turned around and left here. Looking at the Soul Master's leaving figure, Lin Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. From the first day when the Lingbo weapon system appeared, he knew that this action against him would come sooner or later. And it will be very fast and violent. Not only him, but the entire Wanchaiwu will be affected. He had already made preparations. Punch away with one punch, lest hundreds of punches come. I wonder who you can send, he. I used to have a lot of concerns when the upper limit of spiritual waves was very low, but it's different now. In the underground labyrinth when Wanchaiwu is closed. All the bounty hunters belonging to the Everything House gathered here. Sakuramiya sherry, brandy, absinthe, Kunnabata, whiskey, vodka, sake, Lihualian, Lafite red wine, etc., as well as the group of bounty hunters who joined the Master House on Blue Star. Lin Yi looked at them calmly. From today on, no one can leave the Wanchaiwu view. Someone is already targeting us and will be here soon. You have only one mission, just guard the Wanchi House. The bounty hunters who belong to the Wanchaiwu House have exchanged a large amount of resources through hard work during this period of time. Each of them has reached the peak of Earth Immortal Deo at the lowest level, and the highest ones have all reached the level of Heavenly Immortal Deo. But this time Lin Yi summoned them to help them improve their strength faster. Except for absinthe, vodka, whiskey, and Lafite wine, 4 of them did not practice Blue Star martial arts. Everyone has practiced the Blue Star martial arts system. What Lin Yi had to do now was to give them one wonderful thing after another. That was the incarnation system he studied that could be used by Blue Star martial arts. I saw one round ball after another the size of a human head, all made of pure spiritual material. And in this sphere, there is a complete information structure of the principles of the 1,000 worlds in the Deo mark. This is the incarnation of the middle 1,000 worlds made by truth, as long as you inject your own spirit into it. When it becomes the basic structure of truth information, it can be turned into your incarnation, and it can induce greater spiritual power to come to this world. Then, the upper limit of each of you's power will be increased to 100 times the level of the Immortal Deo. I developed this carefully for you. Only in the face of the coming disaster will you have the strength to protect the House of Everything. All those who had practiced Blue Star martial arts quickly took the ball and poured their own spirit into it. Then, they felt that their spirits had touched the Zhongqian world composed of that principle, and they were quickly absorbed and became the carrier of the Zhongqian world's principle. Spirit is like material, and truth information is like mold. The combination of the two will form the trace of reality. Each sphere lit up with a hazy light. People who practiced Blue Star martial arts felt that they were connected to a deeper spiritual level through these mysterious spheres. The majestic spiritual power surged out from there and filled the entire sphere. A faint field appeared around the ball, and they had a feeling. In all areas shrouded in light, they can change reality at will. This is the effect of Blue Star martial arts once it grows to a certain level. After feeling this powerful change, everyone looked frightened. The Lin Yi in front of them became more and more mysterious, and creating them at will could increase their power countless times. They were in awe of Lin Yi from the bottom of their hearts. Feeling the rising power limit of his bounty hunters, Lin Yi had a satisfied smile on his lips. Whoever comes next will probably lose a tooth. In a dark space, 5 mysterious beings, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, and number 6, gathered here. Just listen to the voice of number 1 saying in a low voice, "I have found the anti-psychic weapon." Number 2, "How is the effect of your people in the Hope Alliance in promoting public opinion?" Everything is ready. Some dissatisfied people have gathered. They all have some very special miracle coins in their hands. Ordinary power can't do anything to that guy, but miracle coins can be confirmed to be effective. It's just that it's hard to say whether the effect can achieve our goal. Number 1 said lightly, "As long as it works. What we need is continuous consumption. When this guy's consumption reaches the critical point, it's time for us to take action. Continue to promote the plan, solve this person as soon as possible, and get the secret in his hand. Next are those ancient great lives. After cleaning them all up, it will be the beginning of our true rule over the void. The unfinished glory of the ancient gods will be completed by us. The glory will be reproduced in our hands." 2, 3, 5, and 6 couldn't help but echo in unison. The Beast God World Group. This is the world group that is fortunate to have obtained the spiritual wave energy transmission device. Relying on the spiritual wave weapon, it quickly stabilized and suppressed the strange vortex. At this time, the beast god who ruled this group of worlds was standing in his palace, looking respectfully at the person on the throne. "Great God, someone in the Hope Alliance is pushing for an incident against the inventor of the Lingbo weapon system. The House of Everything I Created." Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 992. Someone in the Hope Alliance demands that the other party disclose all the secrets of the Lingbo weapon system. Otherwise, we must use force to make the other party submit. Sitting on the throne is number 4, occupying the body of the ancient god. There was a strange light shining in his eyes, and countless information flowed in his eyes. He, these guys really don't know how to live or die. The weirdness hasn't been completely suppressed, so you can try to influence other people's ideas. What's the secret of this spiritual wave transmission device? Anyone with a little bit of ability can see it. The trace of imprint left inside is the source of energy. The so-called spiritual wave is the highest level of spiritual power, a spiritual power that can eliminate the weird nature. This kind of power is so precious, how could it be exposed with just a few words? There's definitely someone behind this who wants to do something. You should investigate and pay close attention to it. Who are the people pushing it? Tell me after you find out the exact identity. Yes, great God. The giant crocodile beast respectfully exited the palace and issued orders to the outside world. After leaving the palace, the giant crocodile beast god exclaimed in his heart, "The power of God is becoming more and more awe-inspiring. Just facing it, I feel like my soul is about to collapse. You must closely follow God's footsteps." Number 4 was sitting on the throne, gently touching his chin with his right hand. He had now transformed into a golden human form with a majestic appearance. His whole body was filled with indescribable dignity, and originally he was filled with a faint and strange essence. But now this aura has completely disappeared, replaced by an extremely noble wave. The 5 major rules around him flashed around him, and he was welcomed by the entire void like the master of the rules. In the eyes of number 4, there is no mystery in everything in the void. He can see the most essential structure of the void at will. The power of the ancient God flowed through his body and merged with his original power. This kind of power is so magical. The power itself has an eternal nature and can change the rules within a certain range around it at will. He can use this power to reconstruct the most basic particles that make up the 5 rules at will to form his own rules. But he didn't do much because he asked himself that he couldn't create rules as strict as the 5 rules for the time being. At this time, he already understood that the 5 rules were not the work of a certain ancient god. It is the rules that all the ancient gods collaborated with, constantly modified, and finally perfected. This kind of rule even has the ability to self-improve and evolve, constantly absorbing the most basic particles that constitute the 5 major rules to expand. At this time, he already understood the difference between the void of life and the void of desert. The void of life is the range of void originally created by the ancient gods. The desert void is the result of the continuous extension of the void of life. Because it is self-evolution and self-improvement, the evolution there is more violent, terrifying and rapid. Ordinary life forms, including the capital world, cannot exist there, at least for the time being. After countless years, the desert void has spread to unknown places. How far is it? At this time, number 4 was deep in thought, thinking about his future path. At this time, he was no different from a real ancient god, but he also noticed a problem. Although I am a true ancient god now, I have not fully mastered the 5 rules. If you haven't integrated all their information into the true spirit, you probably haven't reached the peak of the ancient gods yet. But I have mastered the power of spiritual embodiment, and part of the true spirit has been integrated into the spiritual embodiment. Maybe the 5 innate rules can be directly accommodated in the concrete products of the mind. In our reckoning, the mind is the ultimate secret, the only possible direction. The strange invasion and the infection of the ancient god undoubtedly showed me that the path of the ancient god is not perfect. As far as we know, the only place where there is no weirdness is at the spiritual level. Maybe that's the true right and only way. Number 4 is the most thoughtful being among their group, and he has spent countless years verifying the only possibility. Now he is finally taking a crucial step. A majestic spiritual energy surged out of his heart, and a black candle appeared in front of him. One after another information was extracted from the void, and then slowly appeared in the light of the candle. In the flame of the candle, there seems to be a void taking shape. That is the information of the 5 innate rules, which is condensing in the flame of the soul. The palace was completely silent, and No 4's eyes were quietly feeling the materialized product of his soul. He can feel that with the integration of the information of the 5 innate rules, the essence of its embodied products is constantly strengthening. The psychic power that can be triggered is also rapidly increasing. Sure enough, my idea is correct. This is the only way. The disappearance of the ancient gods may not have gone somewhere outside the void. But it has entered the spiritual level and avoided the strange invasion. They may have found the only way. Mumbling to himself, slowly echoing in this palace. The spiritual level has begun to attract the attention of more people. On this day, dozens of figures appeared outside the crescent moon base. Each of these figures contains unimaginable great power, and the power fluctuations of thousands of times the level of the heavenly immortal Deo are only the weakest among them. The strongest of them directly reached more than 10,000 times the heavenly immortal Deo fluctuations. They all came from completely different world groups, and many of them even appeared in the eyes of the strong men of other world groups for the first time. They looked at the crescent moon base with cold eyes. Although these people appeared, each of them concealed his own breath. I saw a miracle coin in the hand of one of them. 10,000 worlds of time and space. As the voice fell, this miracle coin bloomed with infinite brilliance. The next moment, a wonderful light enveloped the entire crescent moon base. Then, the crescent moon base disappeared from this void. And with it disappeared the mysterious strong men who cast this miracle coin. Lin Yi looked around in surprise. He lay on a worn-out bed and looked down at himself. A body that couldn't be more ordinary, without any power. It was as if his consciousness had traveled through time again. What's going on? Travel through time? No, someone attacked me. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 993. There was a hint of coldness in his eyes, and he already knew what was going on. Although he seemed to be at a disadvantage now, he was not nervous at all. Because he could feel the true destiny at the spiritual level, although there was a force that seemed to isolate him from all connections with his own power. But this force could not isolate the connection between the true destiny and the true spirit and soul. He took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. Then let me see who it is this time. The light of the true destiny flashed in his eyes, and everything in the room appeared clearly in his eyes. He was surprised to find that everything in front of him was real. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Whether it was time, space, matter, energy, or even soul, they were all genuine. He looked down at his soul, which was completely different from his original soul. It seemed that his most fundamental consciousness was attached to this body. What's going on? Countless questions flashed through his mind, and he slowly got out of bed and put on his shoes. This is a shabby home, which looks very dirty. The original owner is a young man of about 20 years old. Judging from the environment, he didn't live a good life. Lin Yi opened the shabby door, and outside was an ancient street. Judging from the style, it should belong to the ancient world with a strong Oriental culture. However, the street he was in was very shabby, and it was inhabited by some poor people. He felt hungry in his stomach, and frowned slightly. Well, I don't know what kind of power it is that can bring me here silently. I don't know if it's just me, or if everyone in the Wanchaiwu has come. I'm afraid there is only one thing that can do this. Miracle coin. Gurgle. There was a hunger cry in his stomach, and feeling the hunger in his body, Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of thought. This familiar and strange feeling, Lin Yi sighed slightly, thinking of it. I haven't felt the feeling of hunger for a long time. The stronger the power, the farther away from mortals. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with the brilliance of the true destiny, and then he walked onto the street. The streets were lined with pale-faced poor people who got up early and were walking in groups of 3 or 5 towards the city and outside the city. Lin Yi had no memory of this body in his mind, so he needed to observe. Looking at these poor people, he could be sure that they were real people, not fake. It seems that my will has really come to an unknown world. What is their purpose? I am now in the state of a mortal. Do they want to catch me? Half a day passed quickly, and Lin Yi had been walking around the city for a while. This city is not too big, probably only about 3 or 4 kilometers long and wide. An ancient world with low productivity, and Lin Yi keenly discovered that there is no supernatural power in this world. There is also no spiritual wave energy in the air. This is a world similar to the end of the soul. Thinking in his heart, so that's it? In this place without supernatural power, the number of people is the most important thing. The power of the crowd is not something that a single person can resist. According to the current situation, I'm afraid there will be changes soon. Standing on a street corner, Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. You need to have enough power to protect yourself. Although this world has no spiritual energy, you probably don't know that the Blue Star martial arts system was originally developed from the Doomsday Land. You can develop spiritual power. Thinking of this, he suddenly had an idea. but people who can use this method cannot fail to investigate me. And the essence of Lingbo is spiritual power, these people should also be aware of it. This world seems to have the ability to isolate spiritual power, and Zhenming is vaguely affected by this isolation. It seems that this world is also carefully selected. Everything seems to be targeting me. Then the next step is to wait for the final result. Since it has come, it is better to make the best of it. Although Lin Yi has no power now, he is not worried. With the power of Zhenming, it is impossible to kill him. And now the Lingbo sphere is still growing every moment, and every day, it will be more difficult to kill him. So, after stealing some gold and copper coins that are common in this world from a few rich people, Lin Yi moved directly into a restaurant. Then, he ordered the waiter to buy various medicinal herbs and meat for him to eat. Relying on the light of the true destiny, he began to practice the pure Blue Star martial arts system. The Blue Star martial arts system does not require any spiritual energy, only the continuous growth of physical strength. The human spirit will naturally grow with the strength of the body, and then condense into Dao marks under his control. With Dao marks, combined with spiritual waves, it can trigger supernatural power, thus breaking the phenomenon that there is no supernatural power in this world. Lin Yi is seizing the time, he knows that the change should come soon. Sure enough, that night, the government in this small town began to act. Searching from house to house, it seems to be looking for someone. Lin Yi hid underground like a ghost. When the government came, he found nothing. The streets were full of government officials. Lin Yi was underground and followed an official to the government. After arriving here, 3 people were brought here soon. A man in white appeared in an independent courtyard. He sat in the middle of the courtyard. The governor of this small town stood next to him. He was smiling and looked very humble. The man sitting in the middle did not even look at them. He just watched the 3 people brought in quietly. Report your identities in the void. Hearing the words of the man in white, the 3 people were immediately surprised. One of the men, who was a bit muscular, suddenly widened his eyes. You are the ones who did this, damn it, you better let me out, otherwise I'll make you suffer when I get out by myself. The man in white frowned, looked at the prefect next to him, and said coldly, kill him. The prefect's face changed when he heard this, and then he immediately said to the official next to him, kill him. Puff. The guard next to him pulled out his knife mercilessly and cut off the man's head with one knife. The man's eyes were full of disbelief, the other party actually dared to kill him. Lin Yi, who had been hiding underground, looked at everything above, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. In his eyes, a soul floated out of the dead man's body, so conspicuous. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 994. There is a white true spirit in this soul. The soul was exposed to the air and dissipated at an astonishing speed, leaving only this white true spirit. Then, something terrible happened. The 5 major rules around seemed to have noticed something. All rushed towards this true spirit. In just a moment, this true spirit was directly blown up by the 5 major rules, and then something even more bizarre happened. The destroyed true spirit seemed to be affected and bound by the power of the 5 major rules of this world, and turned into a strange card. The card is about 10 centimeters long and 5 centimeters wide. The card fell to the ground, and the man in white walked over and took the card in his hand. A hint of indifference appeared on his face. No, next one. Lin Yi's eyes saw it clearly. This card seemed to have all the information of the true spirit, from memory to the method of cultivation, and even the power itself. I understand, they want to turn my true spirit into this kind of card here. Then dig out the secret of Lingbo. In an instant, he knew what was going on. Everything was for the secret of Lingbo. This world is very strange. It seems that the true spirit of the killed outsiders will turn into something like an information card. From Lin Yi's observation, this information card can at least allow people to obtain various information and secrets hidden by the other party. As for whether the person who turned into a card is really dead or just an illusion, it is hard to say. His eyes fell on the man in white, and there was no power fluctuation on his body. Obviously, after coming here, the other party's identity is the same, without any supernatural power. But they can obviously control their identities and directly occupy a high position. Then it is very simple to arrest people without identities. The power of the system is not something that an individual can resist. But unfortunately, there is one thing you guessed wrong. The spiritual wave is not something you can block. The breakthrough is on this person. Thinking of this, Lin Yi had floated out from the ground and appeared silently behind the man in white. Then, his hand reached into the man in white and pinched his heart. The man in white didn't even feel it until a sharp pain came from his heart. Then his eyes went black and he fell to the ground with a bang. The prefect standing next to him saw all this, his face changed drastically, and he shouted loudly. Come here, protect the adults. There is an assassin. The guards around saw the white-clothed adults in the yard fall to the ground, and they all trembled. If something happened to such a big man, they might be buried alive. Without any hesitation, they rushed up directly. Countless knife lights came to Lin Yi's body. It's just a pity that all the knife lights passed through Lin Yi without leaving any traces. He gently stretched out his hand and grasped a card that had just appeared and was about to fall to the ground. Then, he picked up another card that fell on the ground. He looked around at the guards who were frightened and quickly retreated, and a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Wow! He made a terrifying expression, which scared them to fall to the ground one by one. He laughed ha-ha, and he sank into the ground in a flash. A few minutes later, he had appeared in the private room of the restaurant. Looking at the two cards in his hand, a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. The man who was killed at the beginning was a bounty hunter in the Crescent Base. He also worked for his Wanchai Wuzhong, a genuine Tianxiandao level combat force. But he died here so easily, without any resistance. Looking at the card in his hand, he already understood how to use it. As long as you drip blood on this card, you can absorb this card. After leaving this world, you will have everything that the original owner of this card has. Memory, power, everything will become someone else's property. This is a thing that can plunder others' hard-earned accumulation, everything. His eyes looked at another card, and the card would send simple information the moment it touched. This information is basically the identity of the owner of this card. The Dragon Emperor World Group, the Black Dragon Clan Chieftain, Haimolin. Dozens of world groups united, these people are really vicious. In the time and space of the 10,000 worlds, enter a selected world, only the true spirit can enter, and the world will be special. Once the entrant is killed, the true spirit is destroyed, and everything about himself will be turned into resource cards. The person who masters the card can get everything of the deceased, and even replace his past, present and future. As long as it is used, it will naturally be rationalized, and the void will naturally extend a reasonable trajectory, which cannot be detected by anyone. This is really a terrifying thing. Lin Yi looked at the card, with shock in his eyes. Is this the power of miracle coins? It can even turn a world into a hunting ground, and create such a strange rule. I wonder what kind of existence the ancient god who can create miracle coins will be. They can really create this thing, which is completely incomprehensible. Took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. This time, there are a total of dozens of strong people from the world groups participating, and they are probably now in a high position in this world. And an order has been issued to start arresting all abnormal people. The purpose is to find me. The entire Crescent Base has been affected. The key to breaking the situation is also very simple. As long as we find the person who uses the miracle coin and kill him, we can end the effect of the miracle coin. Thinking of this, a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes, the emperor of this world, the hero king of the heroic spirit world group. He. Having made a decision in his heart, Lin Yi quickly left the tavern. Under the power of the boundless destiny, he turned into an invisible light and rushed towards the imperial capital of this world. He was very fast. Even if he was just a mortal body, under the state of the boundless destiny, thousands of times of acceleration would allow him to reach the speed of light. In about an hour, he had passed through countless obstacles and came to a huge city. Countless soldiers in the imperial city were guarding here. The whole city was under martial law, and there was no one on the street. Only soldiers were searching door to door. Someone was dragged onto the street while struggling, and then his head was chopped off with a knife, turning into a card. Then, someone who seemed to be a eunuch immediately took a cloth roll, carefully wrapped the card and put it into a box. Then the soldiers were quickly sent into the city. Lin Yi saw the scene with a blank expression on his face. He sneaked underground and followed the eunuch holding the box, rushing into the city. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 995. 10 minutes later, the soldier brought the box to a huge inner city gate. The box was handed to the eunuch at the gate, where dozens of eunuchs lined up neatly. The eunuch who got the box would quickly walk deep into the inner city, looking very nervous. But they didn't know that Lin Yi was at the eunuch's feet, following him to the inner city. About 10 minutes later, the young eunuch brought the box to a huge palace. The palace was heavily guarded, with guards everywhere. The eunuch came to the palace gate, handed the things over, and then quickly retreated. There was another eunuch in the palace, who took the box and quickly walked into the palace. There were guards standing in the palace, as well as some eunuchs and palace maids in costumes. They were expressionless, like wooden people. At the top was a middle-aged man who looked 30 or 40 years old. The eunuch opened the box and presented it to him respectfully. This man was wearing a dragon robe, and he should be the emperor of this country, with a noble temperament all over his body. Lin Yi's eyes saw clearly that there was a radiant true spirit in this man's body. It should be this person, the user of the 10,000 worlds space-time. The user took out the card from the box, frowned after a few seconds, and threw the card casually on the long table in front of him. "No, keep looking." The middle-aged man made a low voice, and the eunuch next to him nodded quickly. "Yes, Your Majesty," he said, and quickly walked out of the palace and said to the eunuch waiting outside, "Keep looking." At this time, Lin Yi appeared silently next to the emperor. The maids, eunuchs, and guards in the palace immediately noticed his appearance, and sharp screams sounded instantly. "Assassin!" A huge voice sounded, and the void strongman who incarnated as the emperor stood up. He rushed to the side, and a hand had silently penetrated into his body and grabbed his heart. His action of rushing outward directly made him feel a pain in his heart, and then he fell to the ground. In his body, his heart had been torn apart, and under the force of his own forward rush. With the death of the emperor, his body suddenly collapsed and turned into a brilliant card. At the same time, the whole world began to become illusory, and everything seemed to be still. The next moment, Lin Yi's eyes blurred, and he returned to the Wanchaiwu again. At this time, everyone in the Wanchaiwu was confused and kept looking around. They naturally knew what had just happened and had experienced it. One by one, their breaths were surging, and they fell into vigilance, watching the surroundings. Lin Yi's thoughts easily swept through the Wanchaiwu, and he couldn't help frowning. In a short period of time just now, half of the bounty hunters in the Wanchaiwu disappeared. Obviously, under the power of the 10,000 worlds and space, these people have died permanently. At this time, some figures appeared outside the crescent base. Looking at the restored crescent base, there was a hint of surprise in their eyes. The myriad worlds of time and space has been cracked, and the hero king of the heroic spirit world group has also died. Amolin of the Black Dragon world group has also disappeared. It seems that the owner of this Xuanhuan is more powerful than we thought. The miracle coin can only trap him for such a period of time. Everyone, what should we do next? At this time, these people were all alert. They asked themselves that they had no way to crack the very special miracle coin of the myriad worlds of time and space. But the other party was able to solve it in such a short time, which made them feel a little odd. Stop attacking, this person's power has exceeded our imagination. There will be others to test it? Thinking of this, everyone nodded. They didn't want to use their lives to be a scout for others. These figures disappeared quickly without leaving any trace. In the crescent base, the mysterious Lord of Wisdom had a solemn look in his eyes. He was also shocked by what happened just now, and there was no sign at all. If he didn't have some skills, he would probably have become a dead soul under the knife and a card in the hands of others. Everything was taken away by others. 10,000 worlds, this is the 10th sequence of the miracle coins. In the distant past, every time it appeared, it would cause a huge disaster. This time it was so easy to crack. It seems that this Lin Yi is really beyond my imagination. Maybe we all underestimated him. He is not just a lucky guy who has mastered a special power. Thinking of this, a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. Lin Yi was sitting in the Wanqi house. The moment he came out, he used the True Fate Daoji to observe the surrounding void, and even the entire crescent base. He also saw the figures that appeared outside the base. Each of them has unimaginable powerful power. But he didn't plan to do it, at least not for the time being. He had a hunch that this was just a small prelude, and the real storm had not yet arrived. So, what other preparations do you have? In a dark void, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, and number 6 gathered here. Number 1 said, the hero king of the heroic spirit world group failed. The miracle coins of 10,000 worlds did not work either. The other party's spiritual power can already ignore the effect of miracle coins to a certain extent. But at least one thing has been tested. He is not completely immune to the power of miracle coins. It takes time to crack this special miracle coin. Then the next step is to use more miracle coins to consume and test him. Find his flaws, and then use anti-psychic weapons. Are you ready? Number 2 nodded, I have manipulated some powerful people in the void and let them get some powerful miracle coins. The power of these miracle coins is one after another. All of them are unexpected and cannot be cracked by pure power. They will try one by one, as long as I give the order. Number 1 nodded, then continue to launch the second wave of tests. Number 2 nodded, and a token appeared in his hand. A strange message disappeared from the token, and then it was transmitted to that place. In the crescent moon base, a man with a feather fan and a scarf appeared here, with an evil smile on his face. It was Li Wuji from the Evil Spirit Academy. This person who had fought with Lin Yi before. He hated Lin Yi deeply, but he had no way to compete with him because the opponent was stronger than his strength limit. Recently, the opponent seemed to have become even stronger, which made him very annoyed, but he had no way to deal with it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 996. He could only hide his hatred and wait for an opportunity. Now someone gave him this opportunity and brought him a wonderful miracle coin. The name of this coin is Guessing Riddles, which has a huge effect and once civilized the void. This is a competition of intelligence. Once this coin is used, the two will be pulled into a wonderful time and space. In that time and space, a mysterious existence will ask them a riddle. Those who guess wrong will die, and those who guess right will get everything from the dead. This is one of the coins in the 10th sequence of miracle coins. It is very similar to the time and space of all realms, and both can get everything from the other party. Li Wuji is proud enough of his wisdom. Maybe he is not the first in strength, but his wisdom has never lost to anyone. Otherwise, he would not be able to be the dean of the Evil Spirit Academy. The Evil Spirit Academy is not a kind place. There are countless strong people in it, and each of them is good at conspiracy. He can stand out, which naturally shows that his wisdom is powerful, which is beyond the reach of ordinary people. Thinking of this, a faint sneer appeared on his mouth. You are dead this time. I will return all the anger you brought to me. After a few steps, he pushed open the door of the Wanchaiwu. With an evil smile on his face, he came to the opposite side of Lin Yi, looked at Lin Yi in front of him, and said confidently, "Long time no see, Mr. Lin." Lin Yi looked at Li Wuji in front of him, thinking, "Are you here to cause trouble too?" Li Wuji showed a bright smile on his face, "Of course." The next moment, a huge power belonging to the miracle coin enveloped him and Lin Yi. In Lin Yi's eyes, the true destiny solution was running wildly, and he was observing the essence of the miracle coin. This power is really too strange, he wants to see what it is. Wrapped in a mysterious power, he and Li Wuji were pulled into a dark space. This space is completely closed, with only a huge statue standing quietly here. Lin Yi looked around and was surprised to find something. The enclosed space barrier is made of pure space particles compressed, not space rules. What's going on? He vaguely saw through the barrier, that was pure emptiness. In the emptiness where nothing exists, a huge black cube quietly floats. This cube is where he and Li Wuji are. Lin Yi was surprised to find that this place did not seem to be empty. It was neither the void of life nor the void of desert, a place he had never been to. The statue in front of him was filled with a wonderful power, a power he had never seen before. It was not weird, nor did it belong to the void, nor did it belong to the power of the mind, nor did it belong to the ancient gods. In the dark space, the statue slowly lowered its head and looked at Li Wuji and Lin Yi with cold and ruthless eyes. A cold voice sounded in their ears, "Does this world have cause and effect?" Hearing this question, Li Wuji was stunned for a moment, and Lin Yi was also surprised. Countless questions flashed through Li Wuji's mind. Isn't this miracle coin a riddle? What is the question? At this time, the statue's eyes fell on Li Wuji. You who use the coin, start answering. Li Wuji was stared at by the statue's eyes, his whole body stiffened, and an invisible terror enveloped him. He had a premonition that as long as he answered incorrectly, he would definitely die, and it seemed that nothing could save him. He took a deep breath, and a gleam of light appeared in his eyes. There must be a cause and an effect in the world. The cause is the source of all things, and the effect is the result of the operation of all things. So cause and effect exist. All living things in the world are subject to the law of cause and effect. Even if you reverse time and change reality, you are also bound by cause and effect. There is cause before there is effect. My answer is finished. Li Wuji said calmly, and he almost used the speech of the Buddhist system. The statue's eyes swept over him and fell on Lin Yi. Now it's your turn to answer the question. Lin Yi looked at the statue in front of him, with a hint of surprise in his eyes. He found a problem. When he didn't use the true destiny solution, he couldn't see the true face of the statue. And he couldn't remember the appearance of the statue in his mind. When he used the true destiny solution, he saw that it was actually a huge humanoid existence. He had a long beard, like a huge old man. But there seemed to be countless secrets in his eyes, giving people an extremely deep feeling, and a wonderful fluctuation all over his body. It was this fluctuation that blocked others' cognition of him and made him unobservable. Lin Yi thought slowly. Cause and effect is a concept generated by living beings observing the operation of the world. It is a concrete law concept of the operation of the world, but it is only the result of observation of intelligent life. Maybe the real situation is another situation, such as when we boil a pot of water. Usually it takes 10 minutes for it to boil. So we think it will boil in 10 minutes, this is cause and effect. But if we cover up the variable of time, we don't know the existence of time, then the boiling of water has no necessary cause and effect with time. That is to say, cause and effect is just a concept we give to the world. Whether the real phenomenon is like this is still unknown. So no one can prove whether cause and effect exists. My conclusion is that cause and effect can exist or not. Li Wuji stared at Lin Yi with his eyes wide open, confused. He couldn't believe that there was such an explanation for the phenomenon of cause and effect. He felt very strange, this was a direction he had never considered. Li Wuji didn't know that Lin Yi came from Earth. Although the technology of that world had not developed to the era of migrating to the universe, nor had it developed supernatural powers. But that world had countless conjectures and countless theories, and among those theories there were conjectures about cause and effect. Now he used one of the explanations and conjectures about cause and effect to answer the statue in front of him. The statue slowly retracted its gaze and then closed its eyes. The next moment, a low voice slowly sounded. Lin Yi's answer was correct, Li Wuji's answer was wrong, and Li Wuji was sentenced to be eliminated. Hearing the cold words of the statue, Li Wuji turned pale instantly. Then, an extremely evil light burst out from his body, and a terrifying sword light rushed out from his body, slashing towards the statue. He didn't want to sit there and wait for death, so he directly used his lifelong unique skill, the evil soul-slaying sword. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 997. Faced with the sudden end of life and death, Li Wuji launched the attack without any hesitation. Even if the object he faced was the statue summoned by the miracle coin. The sword light was sharp, as if it could kill all life. However, the moment the sword light flew out, the statue was filled with a vast brilliance that could not be described in words. It was as if the power erupted from the entire void, which seemed boundless and endless. The sword light that Li Wuji slashed out disappeared the moment it touched the brilliance. This vast power all came towards Li Wuji, as if it would drown him in the next moment. At this moment, a strange wave spread from Li Wuji's body. That was the power of the miracle coin, and he once again activated another miracle coin. The moment this miracle coin enveloped him, he disappeared directly. Disappeared from this mysterious space without a trace, leaving no trace. When Lin Yi saw this scene, a hint of understanding appeared in his eyes. Sure enough, this guy won't seek death on his own. He came here prepared. Even if he loses, he can escape. The power of the statue lost its target, and the huge power slowly dissipated. A strange power enveloped Lin Yi, and after the sky and the earth were dark, he returned to the Wanchaiwu again. There was no one in front of him, and a faint sneer appeared in his eyes. The second wave. Do you think you will be fine if you run away? He, too naive. A few minutes later, a special task appeared on the task list of the Wanchaiwu. Hunting task, hunting down Li Wuji of the Evil Spirit Academy, reward resources for cultivating to the tenfold Tiangxiandao level. Hunting task, Shadow World Group, Shadow Alliance Leader, reward 1/10 of the output of a world group. Hunting task. In the void, Li Wuji appeared here with a gloomy face. Just now, he used another miracle coin where the heart goes. This coin can reach any place he wants to reach as long as it is used, without being suppressed or constrained by any force. This is the treasure he prepared for his escape. People like him will never joke with their lives. Although he is confident, he is definitely not arrogant. Although he is 90% sure, he will still prepare a way out. This is the only reason why he has survived until now. Failed. It seems that it is really difficult to dig out the secret from his soul. Retreat for the time being. This matter cannot be interfered with any more. However, he did not know that his hunting order has been released to the entire void. Including the people who tried to kill Lin Yi in the first wave, all participants are in the hunting mission. The bounty hunters of the Wanchaiwu found these top tasks at the first time. Some of the relatives and friends of some of them died in the hands of these people in the first wave of events. Immediately, someone guessed the truth of the hunting mission. Many people started to conspire directly and disappeared in the Crescent base after taking the task. The reward this time is too generous, except that Li Wuji of the Evil Spirit Academy has a very low reward. The reward for each other goal is 1/10 of the output of a world group. Lin Yi has so many resources in his hands that he can't count them at all. As long as he wants, these resources are just a drop in the bucket for him. This mission information has been released to countless world groups. The Shadow World Group, the Shadow King, who has returned, also received the news of the hunting mission from the Wanchaiwu. In a short time, this hunting mission has spread among countless world groups. Among them, the most exciting ones are some strong people who left their original world groups and came to other world groups to avoid disasters. Originally, some people were considering seizing a new world group, but because everyone is under the framework of the Hope Alliance. The Alliance has detailed regulations. Now is the period of the Great Retreat Plan. Anyone who attacks each other for no reason will face the entire Hope Alliance army. The Hope Alliance army is composed of elites from each world group. They are the real main force of the war, clearing all the weirdness within the Hope Alliance at all times. At the same time, they guard the border between the Hope Alliance and the weird invasion. This is a war that affects everyone. No one can stay out of it. Everyone has to fight for survival. However, the killing order from the Wanchaiwu broke this stability. Wanchaiwu is the most special existence of the house, the origin of all hope in the entire void. Even the strong men in the Hope Alliance chose to remain silent and not interfere in the face of this killing order. Because they knew the reason, it was caused by these people. These people's actions even had their acquiescence. Now that the Wanchaiwu has issued a killing order, they cannot stop it. Otherwise, the Wanchaiwu will be furious and cut off the input of spiritual wave energy, and the entire Hope Alliance will collapse in an instant. Maybe they can block the weird attack, but if they can't eliminate the weird essence, then destruction is only a matter of time. The rulers of some world groups named chose to disappear on the same day, directly giving up all their rights and taking away a lot of resources. These people are decisive, they understand. Since the Wanchaiwu has issued a killing order of this level, someone will definitely take the risk. They are not the most powerful and fearless in this void. This killing order also invisibly shocked all world groups within the Hope Alliance. The information spread quickly within the world group under the Hope Alliance framework, and all interested people knew the cause and effect. Some people naturally thought that these guys had brought it upon themselves. Some people were secretly unhappy, and they thought that Lin Yi should have handed over the secret of all his power. That was the hope of the entire void, and it could not be controlled by one person. The other faction was observing secretly and carrying out some other plans. In the dark void, number 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 gathered here. I only heard number 1 slowly say, I didn't expect that Lin Yi of Wanwu would fight back so fiercely, and actually launched a worldwide hunt. And he used 1/10 of the output of a world group as a price to lock a target. Someone will definitely take action under such temptation. Although all this is in our calculations, we originally calculated that he would only do this after the third wave, but we didn't expect it to start in just the second wave. The alliance that was ready to take action in the third wave has automatically collapsed. Faced with this hunt, they are afraid. I'm afraid we will have to directly launch the fourth wave plan next. Number 6 nodded slowly, the fourth wave is ready and can be launched at any time. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 998. Number 2 said slowly, the fourth wave of the plan has a relatively large impact. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. Be careful not to miss your whereabouts. Number 6 nodded, don't worry. As he spoke, number 6 had already disappeared here in a flash. When he appeared again, he had come to the border between the desert void and the life void. The border area has obvious changes. Although the void in the life void is violent, it has an inexplicable stability. But the desert void is completely different, violent to the extreme madness, mixed with the most subtle states of time, space, matter, energy, and soul. Nothing tangible or intangible can maintain its own state wherever it passes. Everything is chaotic there, and the world cannot exist. It will be blown into particles in huge storms one after another, becoming part of the huge void storm. At this time, a miracle coin appeared in No Six's hand. A force was injected into the miracle coin, and the next moment, the coin burst out with a wonderful power. A wonderful hole appeared in the desert void, and countless storms were pulled by the hole and fell into the hole. Opposite the hole was the meteorite area outside the void city. An endless storm blew out of thin air, and no one could even see where its source was. Rumble. The huge void storm blew away everything, and meteorites exploded one after another in the meteorite area. They were blown into the most basic particles and swept into the storm. The sudden storm attack alarmed one void base after another in the meteorite zone. One after another, figures quickly flew out of it, trying to escape, but they were already exposed in the boundless void. What greeted them was a storm that swept from afar from the sky and the earth. Some Tianxiandao level strongmen were all looking wildly. This kind of horrible natural disaster could not be reached by human power at all. They could see at a glance that this huge storm contained the power of the 5 innate rules. Unless you can step into the eternal level, or even reach the level of the heavenly immortal Dao with a size of 1,000 or 10,000 times or more, you may be able to block this impact. But most of the outsiders in the void cannot reach this level. There is only one way left for them, that is to escape quickly before the storm completely covers them. One after another, figures quickly rushed into the void, using the randomness of the void to quickly disappear in this area. The storm that connected the sky and the earth blew away one meteorite after another, and quickly approached the crescent base. The base had already sounded a violent alarm. As the developer of this meteorite base, the Lord of Wisdom discovered the storm at the first time. But he had no choice. The storm came too mysteriously, and he couldn't even see where the source was. Indistinctly, he had a hunch that the source of the storm should be the Wanchaiwu. It's troublesome to be affected by the disaster. A huge wave of power emanated from him, tearing through the void and stepping into it and disappearing. The next moment, the huge storm had blown outside the crescent base. Like other meteorite bases, the crescent moon base could not avoid the fate of destruction. Everything inside the base was collapsing, and everything was caught in the storm. Those who did not have time to escape would be blown to ashes in the next moment. The crescent moon base, which was still popular in the last second, had disappeared into the void at this time, without any trace. The Wanchaiwu was naturally attacked by the terrifying storm at the same time. However, Lin Yi's boundless true destiny and perseverance had covered the entire Wanchaiwu. The entire Wanchaiwu was under his protection, and a slight gloom appeared in his eyes. It seems that the black hand behind the scenes is still not giving up. He naturally saw that this was still aimed at him, in order to destroy his Wanchaiwu. Under the true destiny cage, the power of the moving black stone slab was activated. The next moment, the Wanchaiwu disappeared in the void storm. When it appeared again, it had come to an open space in the void city. This was the open space he bought from the void city, and it was vacated for him alone through the operation of the Void Destiny Committee. However, he had not moved the Wanchaiwu here, but this time the crescent base was destroyed, so he had to come here. His eyes flashed with the brilliance of the true destiny, and he looked outside the void city. A huge storm was raging in the meteorite belt, which had already covered the entire meteorite area, and all the meteorites were destroyed in the storm. In just a few minutes, countless strong men died in it, a complete massacre. Lin Yi's face showed an indescribable indifference, and he had some ideas about the viciousness of the mastermind behind the scenes. At this time, perhaps because of the rules of the void and the boundless randomness. The next moment, the storm disappeared from outside the void city, and the meteorite belt disappeared with it. A place that had existed for countless years was destroyed just like that. About 10 minutes later, something surprising happened. Meteorites appeared out of thin air not far from the void city, and a huge and glorious shadow enveloped this new meteorite belt. That was the original creator of the meteorite belt, the Lord of Wisdom. He actually created a new meteorite belt again. However, it is not so easy to restore it to its original splendor. Everyone in the Wanchaiwu was a little confused at this time, not knowing what happened. Everything happened too fast, but soon they knew what happened from the screen at the bar. Everyone looked grim. Some people have already noticed the source of it, which is clearly an attack on the Wanchaiwu. Among them, Aliatha was the most angry. Damn, who is it? Don't you know that it is a war with Weird now? Dare to attack the Wanchaiwu, is this going to make the entire alliance fall into ruin? Who is so bold? Dare to go against the entire void? Not only Aliatha, but other people in the Wanchaiwu were also angry and full of questions. They felt something was wrong with the first attack, and Li Wuji and others also noticed it in the second attack. Now it's the third time, it's simply a state of not giving up until the goal is achieved. Over and over again, no one can tolerate it. But they are also helpless. There is obviously a unified controller behind these attacks. Otherwise, the time cannot be so dense, and the attacks cannot be so regular. All this shows that the mastermind has extraordinary means and abilities. Everyone feels a little heavy in their hearts. If the mastermind cannot be found, the Wanchaiwu will continue to suffer this attack. It can be avoided once, but what about the second, third, or even countless times? This makes everyone have a bad premonition in their hearts. Will this attack end? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 999. Lin Yi frowned upon hearing this, because during the first wave of attacks, there was no trace of the mastermind in the 2-card memories he got. Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of solemnity, and the 3 waves of attacks were all different. The first wave was a joint attack by dozens of World Group Masters, borrowing the characteristics of the Miracle Coin. The second wave was an attack by Li Wuji using the World Coin. The third wave of Void Storms appeared out of thin air, and even directly wiped out dozens of bases in the meteorite zone. Each wave of attack was targeted, and there was a feeling of not giving up until the goal was achieved. Lin Yi frowned slightly in his heart, and a trace of solemnity flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand slightly, and a miracle coin appeared in his hand. This miracle coin was exactly the miracle coin he got from the ancient god ruins, representing the past. It can collect all the information related to the past, and it was less than 5 minutes away from the whole incident. Without any hesitation, Lin Yi directly used the power of this miracle coin. In an instant, the miracle coin turned into a wonderful brilliance and disappeared directly in front of Lin Yi. Then, a piece of information sleeping in time was extracted from the past and quickly gathered in front of Lin Yi. This information formed a huge picture scroll, and all the information related to Lin Yi was displayed in it. At the same time, one of the 5 figures hidden in the dark void had a serious expression. The traces we left in the past time have been touched. Something has collected our information, and the time is within 5 minutes. The mysterious number 1 seemed to have noticed something immediately. That person may be using the miracle coin to find our traces. Leave here, it's not safe here anymore. Continue the 5th wave of attack. The 5 figures exerted a wonderful power and quickly disappeared here. At the same time, in the Void City, Lin Yi had seen all the contents of this information. 5 mysterious figures appeared in his eyes. Are they the backside of history that the Soul Master said? It seems that all these things were arranged by them. Anti-psychic weapons. Specialized for the power of the mind, derived from the product of the ancient gods' experiment. It seems that they are also prepared to deal with me with all their heart and soul. These people will never give up, and there may be a 5th wave of attacks. Stay in the Wanchaiwu will only bring trouble. Then let me see what you have in mind. Thinking of this, he took a step forward, and the next moment, he appeared in the void outside the Void City. He pointed casually, and a platform appeared under his feet. He stood on it quietly, looking at the deep distance. He was waiting for the backside of history to launch their 5th wave of attacks. He already knew that the 3rd wave of attacks, because of his strong counterattack, those people gave up. So these backsides of history will directly launch the 4th wave of attacks. In a brand new dark void, 5 figures gathered here. They formed a circle, and a wonderful projection appeared in the middle. The projection was Lin Yi's figure. Number 6 said slowly, he left the Wanchaiwu, it seems that he wants to compete with us head on. What do you think? Stupid personal heroism, number 2 said disdainfully. According to our original plan, continue to test his strength. We need more data. He will never guess how the anti-psychic armed forces will attack him. Then continue the 5th wave of attack, number 1 said coldly. A miracle coin appeared in his hand. He just clicked it lightly, and the miracle coin disappeared instantly, and the world made a wonderful change. Lin Yi narrowed his eyes, and a mysterious change appeared around him. In the void where he was, all the time and space levels seemed to be slightly distorted in an instant, and then he looked around with some surprise. He appeared in a wonderful place. Surrounded by a grey world, a huge suction came from the grey world and enveloped him. A sense of strangeness flashed through his mind. Where is this place? It's not a strange place, nor is it in the void, nor is it in the world. Countless information and data flashed through his mind. He had countless resources and countless information in his hands, and soon he guessed where this place was. This is the center of the void, a place called the Void Restricted Area. It turns out that the power just now replaced me and the surrounding time and space together into this place. Lin Yi had already opened the power of the true destiny and was always alert. The fog around him had a wonderful power. Any power here will fall into a state of inertia. The spirit is sleeping, or slowly draining away. The spirit is the most wonderful thing in the entire void. If you want to master the 5 innate rules, the spirit is absolutely unavoidable. Without the power of the spirit, it is impossible to obtain supernatural power. Even the Blue Star martial arts, the reason why the Dao mark is condensed is because the soul itself has a trace of spirit that will not dissipate, which is the most fundamental spirit of life. With this trace of spirituality, one can condense the illusory Dao trace and produce supernatural phenomena in the absolute spirit world. At this time in this restricted area, if the spirituality in the body of the strong falls into silence, all their strength will be equivalent to loss. Even the strong who cultivate their physique will have problems with their strong body due to the loss of spirituality, and eventually gradually degenerate. The power integrated into the body will disappear little by little, and some structures produced by spiritual intervention will also collapse. He quickly understood the danger of this restricted area. Completely isolate the existence of power from entering. Unless it has condensed eternity, the 5 major rules in the body, self-circulating, spirituality self-generated, and the true spirit will never be affected by the outside world, it is possible to act in this area. In an instant, Lin Yi saw a lot of things. However, the true destiny unfolded, and he quickly isolated the influence of this place on himself. After thinking about it, he turned and flew in the opposite direction of the suction. He did not plan to explore this mysterious restricted area now. Although it is said that there may be secrets left by the ancient gods hidden in the restricted area. However, he already had some guesses about the existence of the ancient gods, so he was not in a hurry to investigate these things. In the true destiny, Lin Yi continued to accelerate, his speed getting faster and faster, even reaching thousands of times the speed of light. Soon he rushed out of the area covered by the endless gray fog and reappeared in the void. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1000. With a click of his hand, a door made of matter appeared in front of him. The key to the door appeared in his hand, and he gently opened the door, and then he returned to the Wanchaiwu again. He easily avoided the opponent's fifth wave of attack. After returning to the Wanchaiwu, Lin Yi did not stay, but took a step away and appeared in the void again. There was still a platform under his feet. He sat calmly on the ground and looked up at the sky quietly. His face was very calm, his eyes looked at the distance indifferently, and a faint smile seemed to appear at the corner of his mouth. This kind of ridicule fell into the eyes of the back of history, which made them feel a little unhappy. Originally, they were using various methods to plot against the people in front of them, and the other party couldn't even find them. But now it seems that the other party has survived his wave after wave of calculations without any damage. Although they got some information and data, each item made them feel more and more ruthless. Number 3 said slowly, he actually left the central restricted area of the void in such a short time. The spirituality can be closed there, and even if we enter that area, there are huge risks. It's not easy to leave. This time, we use the miracle coin world replacement to send him deep into the restricted area. Originally, we wanted him to be affected in it, lose power, become weak, and even affect his spiritual power. But now it seems that our plan has failed. There is no sign of weakening on this person. The spiritual power he possesses and the powerful damage avoidance characteristics are somewhat beyond our calculation boundaries. What should we do next? The weakening plan we have formulated has a total of 7 rounds, and there are still 2 rounds. There was a hint of worry in No 3's words, and the other 4 people were also slightly silent. Number 1 said coldly, "Go on, I don't believe he is really unharmed. If 7 rounds of attacks can't weaken him, we have to re-evaluate him. Perhaps even the anti-psychic weapons may not be successful. We must be more cautious in preparing for the next attack." The others nodded slightly, and a miracle coin appeared in No 2's hand. He waved his hand in front of him, and a humanoid life form appeared. He looked like an ordinary person, without any special power. At this time, he looked at himself appearing in the void, and there were 5 mysterious black shadows surrounding him, and fear suddenly appeared on his face. He was covered by a layer of faint light, but his body seemed to be bound and could not do anything, like a stone statue. Number 2 pointed at the miracle coin with his finger, and a mysterious light bloomed. A light spot fell on the ordinary person, and another one crossed countless distances and flew straight towards Lin Yi. This light spot silently reached the void where Lin Yi was, and he instantly felt the existence of this light spot. He sensed a hint of threat, and without any hesitation, the true destiny had already unfolded. The light spot fell on him in an instant, but although it existed within the outline of his body, it was isolated in the void because of the power of the true destiny. If it could not truly merge with his body, it would not have a substantial impact on him. At this time, in the mysterious void, Number 2 looked at the ordinary man in front of him and blew gently. A black breeze blew slowly, and this ordinary man was instantly shattered, from spirit to soul to body, completely turned into particles. At the moment of his death, the concept of death, along the mysterious connection, affected the golden light within the outline of Lin Yi's body. The golden light spread out a concept of death, which seemed to cover Lin Yi and make him die as well. However, the result was obvious: the concept of death could not touch Lin Yi at all. The golden light did not merge into Lin Yi's body at all, and the concept of death it emitted quickly dissipated in the void, and the golden light also dimmed at the same time. In the end, all the power disappeared. The back of history, looking at the intact Lin Yi in the projection, showed a trace of surprise in his eyes again. Number 2 said with some surprise, "Is the miracle coin of the life community also ineffective against him? This coin is very dangerous. It can specify 2 lives to be connected together. As long as one dies, the other will also die." In the distant era, someone used this coin to kill the overlord level existence of the world group. A very famous and very dangerous coin. Legend has it that only people of the eternal level can be immune to the damage of this miracle coin. This coin has always been the trump card in the hands of number 2. Since getting it, he has never used it again, just to keep it against some special enemies. Lin Yi in front of him actually made him waste this trump card in vain. He took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. Slowly said, "It's amazing, the spiritual power system he mastered. I'm afraid it has really involved the unique nature. The miracle coin can't cause him any real harm." Behind the shadow, the others also showed solemnity in their eyes. They all felt the pressure brought by Lin Yi. Number 1 slowly said, "The last 7th wave of tests. If you still can't cause him any harm, hold off on your actions against him." Number 6 waved his hand and took out a miracle coin from the void. This miracle coin is called Existence Erasure. Once used, the void will activate the erasure mechanism. It will use the power of the entire void to erase this person's existence. It is equivalent to the void backlash that you need to face when you step into the eternal level. This attack is completely unreasonable, and it is also a very famous and dangerous miracle coin in the ancient times. Any existence that lives long enough will have their own killer. This killer miracle coin is the most popular because it does not follow any rules or reason at all. It even completely bypasses the 5 major rules of the void and has an essential power that is completely different from the void. Therefore, there has been a rumor that the miracle coins were not made by the ancient gods, but they got them from somewhere. This time, the 7 waves of attacks were all arranged by the back of history to be tested with miracle coins. Because they have already determined that the ordinary power of the 5 major rules has no effect on Lin Yi. Only by using the power of non-5 major rules can we test out some real things. Number 6 pointed at the miracle coin, and a wonderful power merged into the void. The next moment, the whole void seemed to tremble slightly.